Imagine that your boss has just assigned you a PowerPoint presentation due tomorrow. Or perhaps your professor has told you that you need to submit an essay to them in a Word document, again, conveniently due tomorrow. Or perhaps your colleague who has a habit of procrastinating sent you some critical data in a Microsoft Excel file that you need to analyze and get back to them before, you guessed it, tomorrow. You're happy to help with all of these things, but the simple fact of the matter is you don't have PowerPoint, Excel, or Microsoft Word, and you don't feel like paying hundreds of dollars to Bill Gates for the privileges of using his products. So what do? You watch today's video because I'm going to show you how to download, set up, and get started with LibreOffice, which is a suite of free and open source software that essentially imitates PowerPoint, Excel, Microsoft Word. Best of all, this software is easy to use and completely free. This isn't some pirated version of Microsoft. It's not something where the FBI is going to come kick in your door for using this software. It is designed from the ground up to be free, easy to use, and we're going to show you all about it in today's video. Hey everyone, and welcome back. This is the Part-Time Economist, and in today's video we are getting started with LibreOffice, which is a suite of free and open source software very similar to the Microsoft Office suite. So just a little bit of a backstory: when I was in college, I paid the money, or my parents, I guess you could say, paid the money for me to have PowerPoint and Excel and everything like that on my computer. Well, wouldn't you know it, something happened. My computer completely crashed. I had to restart it. And after spending hundreds of dollars for the software in the first place, I did not want to spend the same money again just to get the same products. So I searched out open source alternatives, which led me to OpenOffice, LibreOffice, and I've been using those pretty much exclusively for over a decade. So anything that you can do with PowerPoint, Word, Excel, you can more or less do with LibreOffice without spending hundreds of dollars. So if that sounds interesting, you're definitely going to want to watch the video. And one more thing before we get started, there is compatibility between this and PowerPoint, Excel, Word. That means you can open Excel, Word, and PowerPoint documents. You can also save your work into those formats so people that have traditional Microsoft, they can still view and share your work. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. To get started, you're going to want to go to LibreOffice.org, and you're going to go ahead and download the software, save it to your computer. The cool thing about this software is it is supported on Mac, Linux, and Windows. So regardless of what operating system that you're using, you will be covered. After that file has downloaded to your computer, go ahead and install it and then pull up the files. So with that being said, one thing that we're going to start off with today is the Excel clone, which is going to be called LibreOffice Calc. So to go with our first scenario, imagine that you have a colleague or perhaps even a professor. I know when I was in college, our professors would send us an Excel file of data to analyze, and if you don't have Microsoft Excel, you are going to fail this assignment. But not anymore, because LibreOffice Calc can open Excel files. And to show you this, I'm running Linux Mint. Again, it works on Windows, it works on Mac, regardless. But I have an Excel data file, and you can see this represented by the .xlsx extension on my file. So how do I open this file with LibreOffice? Are you ready for this magic? Literally all we're going to do is we double click on the file and it will open with LibreOffice. Now, if you perhaps have other programs installed on your computer and that XLSX file name extension is not associated with LibreOffice, you can also open any Excel files simply by going up to your file menu, opening, and then of course selecting the XLSX file that you want. In this example, we're just going to open the exact same file so that you can see we can open it from within the program as well. And once we get this pulled up, you're going to see that it looks very similar to Excel. So this is a complete beginner's tutorial. We're going to start off like you have never opened a spreadsheet in your life. In some of the additional tutorials we'll build up, we'll get more into it, a lot of the different stuff that it does. But right here, I'm assuming that this is literally your first time ever opening a spreadsheet. So we've got this spreadsheet from our colleague opened up. It's this Excel data that they want us to analyze, or it's that file from our professor. First off, let's start with some basic navigation. In order to zoom the screen in, I'm simply going to hold down the control button and push in with my mouse. That is going to make everything bigger, easier to see. If you don't have a scroll button on your mouse, you can also come down to the bottom corner and you will see a little slider bar where you can adjust the zoom level. Once you are zoomed in, you can navigate within the spreadsheet simply by using these little slider arrows to go left and right. And then of course this one over here is going to go up and down. So we've opened this file from our colleague, and essentially what we see here is some sales and expense data from a couple different stores. Now, let's suppose they're simply wanting us to analyze this, and again, you can imagine whatever scenario it is, but for our situation, it's really simple. They simply want us to highlight the store with the most profit in green, save the file, and get it back to them, remembering that they can only open Excel files because they do not have LibreOffice. So, first step here, very basic navigation. I'm going to show you how to enter data into a cell, how to change the color, the formatting of that, and then save it as an Excel compatible format. So first thing we're going to do here, we're simply looking at all of these different stores, and thankfully our colleague has already made it really simple for us because they have put in the profit. So all we need to do is to find the store with the greatest profit, highlight that in green, and save the file. Now in this example, it's incredibly easy because we can clearly see right here there's only 3 items. That $60 one is going to be the most profit. So to select a cell, we are simply going to click on it. If we're selecting multiple cells, we are going to click and drag across, or if we want to select an entire row, we can simply click on the row icon. If we're trying to select a column, we can select the column just by clicking on it. So rows are always going to be numbered, columns are always going to be letters. In this example, again, we're simply going to highlight everything for the store with the most profit. Now, how do we change the color? Very simple. All we've got to do is come up here to this color bar. We're going to click on the color bar, this little drop down arrow here, and it's going to bring up some colors we can choose. Our colleague said they wanted green, so we're simply going to select this green color. We can see that everything changes. Now, we can also do some additional cool things just to make it pop, just to make it stand out. We can change the font. So again, we're going to select. We are going to change the font, and you'll notice you don't really see a font icon here. Some of the additional features are actually kind of hiding over here on the other side. To find them, we're going to click on this arrow that says, oops, sorry about that. We're going to go ahead and expand that, and then we are going to click where it says properties. So properties brings up that file, and then of course this arrow here can expand or minimize that entire taskbar. So from here, we can go ahead and we can change the font to something to stand out. We can change the size of the font. And another really cool thing that we can do, bold, italics, underline, we can do strike through. All of these different options we can change simply from within the properties. Again, this is just an introduction to show you the very basics, but there's a lot more features that we have here that we're going to go over in other lessons. So now that we've done what our colleague asked, remember they said we want you to highlight in green the store that sold the most and save it and return it to me as an Excel file. What I want to show you is that we can easily save this as an Excel file. Now, if we opened this as an Excel file, when we go to save by clicking on this little floppy disk, we see that it tells us that there might be some features that are not compatible with Excel, and it gives us the choice of saving in either the ODF, which is the open document format that is kind of native to LibreOffice, or we can choose Excel. Now, Obviously, since we are wanting our colleague to be able to view this, we are going to select that we want to use the Excel format, and we're going to go ahead and save it. Now, let's suppose instead of opening an Excel file that our colleague sent us, that we're creating a document from scratch. Perhaps we're doing our own research, and now we need to share something that has been created with LibreOffice to people that are only using Excel. We need to change the settings. So what we're going to do in this example is go to File. We're going to go to Save As, and when we go to save this, literally all we have to do is come down here to this ODF spreadsheet, and instead of clicking on that, we can save it as an XLSX file. This will literally save it as an Excel compatible document. So we can open Excel files, or we can create our own files and save them as Excel files. One thing that I would recommend, it is completely free for you to go to Microsoft and get their Excel viewer, PowerPoint viewer, Word viewer. I totally recommend that you do this because when you're saving these files as compatible with Excel, Word, PowerPoint, they generally work for the most part. But if you have this viewer, you can see it exactly as the recipient is going to see it, just so you can make 100% sure that there's no formatting incompatibilities or anything like that. But if you don't want to go through all that trouble, simply saving it as the appropriate format, so the DOCX for Word, as the PPTX for PowerPoint, or as the XLSX for Excel, typically does the trick. So that's just a very brief introduction of LibreOffice, how to get downloaded, how to get started with it. Again, in the future videos, we're going to go into way more detail about all of the cool things you can do and really teach you how to use these software programs from the ground up. So, as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.